We're going to see whether a number is odd or even using if and else statement. Now we'll see what is a flowchart. A flowchart is a diagrammatic notation for representing algorithms. We're going to see a flowchart for the odd or even program. The starting and ending terminal are written in an oval shape. The input and output is written inside a rectangle or parallelogram. The condition statement is written inside a rhombus. Here, if the remainder is 0, it's yes and it'll print even. If it's not 0, it'll print odd and the program stops. Now we'll see what is an algorithm. An algorithm is like a pseudocode which is not for computers to execute directly but for human readers to understand. It is a mix of programming like constructs and plain English. This is the algorithm for the odd or even program. First, the program reads the number from the user and calculates the remainder using the modulus operator. In the next line, we use if and else statement. Here we use double equal to as we are checking if it's equal to 0 or not. So if the remainder is equal to 0, it will print even. Otherwise, it will print odd. Now the if statement ends and the program stops. We're going to see what is a program. A program is a set of instructions that a computer uses to perform a specific function. This is the C program to find whether a number is odd or even. First, we are declaring num as an integer. We use printf and scanf functions to get the input number from the user. We use and in scanf to represent the address of the variable. Then we use if and else statements. If the remainder of the number when divided by 2 is 0, then it's even, or else it's odd. I have written the same C program in code blocks. First, I'm going to run without the else statement. When I build and run, it will ask for the input from the user. When I give 4, it says 4 is even. Now if I write an odd number, example 3, it will not print anything as we did not say what to print if the number is not even. So now I declare it using else statement. If I write an odd number, example 5, it will print 5 is odd. Suppose if you want to write more than one statement inside an if or else statement, we use curly brackets and write them within it. Now I'm using \n inside these statements so that it prints these statements in a new line. If I do build and run now and enter 4, both the statements gets printed and also in a new line. And when I enter an odd number, these two statements gets printed. Now I am going to use \t in these two statements. \t produces a gap between the two statements. Now we're going to see a program to check the range using if and else if statements. First, we're getting input from the user. We have specified conditions for range here, like a less than or equal to 30, a greater than 30 and less than or equal to 60, a greater than 60 and less than or equal to 100. We have used double ampersand to combine both statements, and also we've used else if as there are more than two statements. So after build and run, when I enter 28, the output is the number 28 is below or equal to 30. If I enter a number between 31 and 60, for example 45, I get the output as the number 45 is between 31 and 60. If I enter a number between 61 and 100, example 85, I get the output as the number 85 is between 61 and 100. If my input is greater than 100, like 10,007, then my output is the number 10,007 is above 100. So the concept that you have to keep in mind is that when you have more than two statements to write, then use if, then the number of else if you need, and at last use else. Now we are going to see what are nested if statements. The if statements which contain another if statement inside them are called nested if statements. Only if the outer if statement is true, the inner if statement is executed. So in this program, we're getting input value of A from the user. We have written an if statement and another if statement inside it. Only if the first if statement is true, the second one gets executed. When my input is 27, as it is less than 30, my output is the number 27 is below or equal to 30. 27 is odd, so the second if statement is not executed. When my input is 24, then both the if statements are true, so both the statement will get executed. So keep in mind that if the first if statement is not true, then the second if statement is not executed. Now we are going to see what is a for loop. The for loop is an entry control loop which allows code to be executed repeatedly. It has three different statements: initialization, condition, and update expression. Here it is incrementation. This is the program to print multiplication table. So here we have declared n, I, and a as integers. We are getting input value of n from the user. Next, in the for loop, we have used initialization, the condition, and increment. We write the statement a is equal to n into I to tell it to print n I a in table format. Now if I give the input as 2, then the multiplication table of 2 gets printed. If I write a greater number like 125, then the table of 125 gets printed. Now if I want to change my limit from 10 to 25, then I have to change the condition. Now if I give the input as 11, then 11 table will be printed up to 25. Now let us see how the for loop works. We have written inside the for loop that I is equal to 1 and I less than or equal to 10 and I plus plus. Now in the beginning, I is equal to 1. As I is less than or equal to 10, the value I is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, and I into n is equal to 2 are printed. Now I is equal to 1 is incremented to 2 as it's a post increment operator. Now I is equal to 2. As I is less than 10, the values I is equal to 2, n is equal to 2, and I into n, 4 are printed. Now I is equal to 2 is incremented to 3. This process goes on, and at last I is equal to 10. As I is less than or equal to 10, the values I is equal to 10, n is equal to 2, and I into n, 20 are printed. Then I is equal to 10 is incremented to 11. Now I is 11. As I is greater than 10, I is equal to 11 is not printed. So now the loop stops and the program ends. Thank you.